You know, I have a number of things to say about the cartoons today. I've been watching and comparing a number of them to what was on the air when I was younger, and I have to say, they are terrific. Seriously. Today's animated shows are excellent, and if you think there's nothing on the air that's good right now, you might want to loosen your nostalgia goggles for a second. I used to be one of those people who thought the cartoons of my youth were much better than what children today are seeing. And then I actually woke up and realized, hey, wait a minute, we're in a current golden age. Not just in animated features, but animated television as well. Now, in defense of my earlier self, there was a dry period where shows like My Gym Partner's a Monkey and the George of the Jungle reboot littered the airwaves. But even then, you could find excellent programming like Avatar: The Last Airbender once you dig past the lesser quality shows. There was also a time when channels started to veer away from producing original animated series. Nickelodeon, Disney, and even Cartoon Network focused their main attention on reality shows and sitcoms for a while. However, I think the show that helped launch this current age of heavier focus on animated series is Phineas and Ferb, a show that was originally pitched in the 90s and rejected by a number of studios until Disney decided to give it a green light. This is definitely the brainchild of Dan Povenmire and Jeff Swampy Marsh, as it showcased their clever sense of humor and appealing designs, plus the fun and memorable music that filled the series. They even played with the formula in each episode, and while it's been running since around 2008, it has not lost any of its touch. The success of Phineas and Ferb means Disney invested in more creator-driven animated programming. Gravity Falls did a superb job of bringing surreal storytelling to an animated comedy show, and the animation is almost theatrical level quality. I would even argue that Gravity Falls has the best animation ever produced for an animated television series. Even top animators like James Baxter have contributed their talents to this inventive show created by Alex Hirsch. Meanwhile, Craig McCracken brought his sensibility, which he honed for many years on Cartoon Network, to create Wander Over Yonder, and Paul Rudish brought back Mickey Mouse's mischievous side after many years of him starring in preschool shows. The success of Phineas and Ferb certainly played a part in not only Disney, but also Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network realizing the importance of creator-driven animated shows to their brand name. Like Phineas, Adventure Time was originally pitched to Nickelodeon, who did not think it would work as a full-time series. So Fred Seibert brought it to Cartoon Network, where Pendleton Ward was given the freedom to make the crazy and multi-layered show he wanted. J.G. Quintel was even allowed to turn his trippy student films into a regular show, which is unique among current animated series, and that's animated with pencil and paper rather than electronic devices like Cintiq. Shows like these also nurture their talented crews to then create future series of their own. Rebecca Sugar, who was very involved in the storyboarding of Adventure Time, was then given the reins of her own series, Steven Universe, which continued the excellent sense of character, imagination, and world-building seen on the show she honed her skills on. Cartoon Network even produced an ambitious piece of animated television we don't normally see, a miniseries with Over the Garden Wall. And what of Nickelodeon, the channel responsible for the current model of creator-driven animated series? Admittedly, they have been relying heavily on SpongeBob, and their treatment of The Legend of Korra was not exactly the best. But the fact they greenlit shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra, despite their emphasis on comedy shows, should at least be commended. Their current Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show is even able to take an earlier property and make a new version that combines all the best elements that made previous shows and movies in that franchise so beloved. Nickelodeon has recently revealed they plan to bring back the very model that launched the Nicktoons brand and give artists the chance to create some great original programming. Then there's the world of the internet, where many talented animators are bringing their skills to the table, including the likes of How It Should Have Ended and Only Lee. Which brings me to another subject. Recently it was announced that there would be no more Saturday morning cartoons on network television. A lot of people were lamenting that. Oh no, children will never experience the joy of waking up in the morning, eating cereal in front of the television and watching their favorite cartoons. And that, I have to say, is a completely ridiculous thought. Because I can wake up on a Saturday morning, switch on the television and see Phineas and Ferb on there, go on Netflix and watch Garfield and Friends, look for classic Mickey Mouse cartoon on YouTube, or watch any Animaniacs episode on DVD. And considering how technologically savvy children are these days, I'm pretty sure this is easy as pie for them. When I was younger, if I missed the latest episode of Recess and had not recorded on video, I had to wait for the rerun. Now, if they miss the newest Ninja Turtles episode, they can go on the Nickelodeon or YTV website and watch it there. And if you look at animation history, the Saturday morning cartoon has actually done more harm to the medium than good. You see, there was a time when animated shorts were a regular part of the cinema-going experience. You would go see Casablanca and probably expect to see a Bugs Bunny cartoon beforehand, and audiences paying a ticket to It Happened One Night were likely treated to a Disney short. Sometimes the cartoon even proved more popular than the film it played with. With the audience approval from its many showings, Tom and Jerry have lasted more than one short. Despite their popularity, studios surprisingly did not see much of a future for cartoons and sold them to other distribution companies. When the television came along and they needed something for Saturday morning, they had the rights to Looney Tunes and Popeye shorts and so played those. Since children were more likely to be awake at that time while the parents are sleeping after a hard week's work, it was their offspring that tended to watch them, thus creating the perception that animation was a children's medium. This wasn't further helped by shows made specifically for that time block that consisted of cheap animation and juvenile stories. In the 1960s, Hanna-Barbera did briefly succeed in getting the adults back with the Flintstones, Top Cat, and the Jetsons, and even into the 1970s with Wait Till Your Father Gets Home. However, after a while, Hanna-Barbera began producing low-rent retreads like Josie and the Pussycats in Space, Yogi Space Race, and Casper Meets the Angels in Space. Yeah, that was an odd phase. The 80s didn't help matters with Saturday morning cartoons like Transformers, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, and even Rubik the Amazing Cube that existed mainly to sell toys. Most 80s cartoons were devised by studio executives to help sell a brand rather than a creator with a unique idea. Outside of Inspector Gadget and the Raccoons, it was rare to find a cartoon not based on a comic book or toy or movie. Even Disney, which did bring much higher quality animated programming to Saturday morning cartoons, entered the arena with a show based on Gummy Bears, though that series was good enough to exist independent of the sweets and without trying to sell them to you. It was Nickelodeon that decided, hey, there are a lot of talented people working in animation. Let's let them create their own cartoons. Thus came the birth of Doug, Ren and Stimpy, and Rugrats, all obviously products of an individual and specific mind, and they would inspire other companies like Hanna-Barbera and then later Disney to also allow the creative people within their walls to pitch and create their own original series. Even with the death of Saturday morning television, animated series are succeeding brighter than ever, with so much variety for cartoon fans, both young and old, to explore and enjoy. Yes, there were excellent shows in the past, but there's some strong programming going on now as well. I am honestly jealous of children today and the entertainment they're given. I wish there was the same variety when I was younger, both on television and on the big screen.